Picture this. You walk into the airport for the first time in 5, 6, maybe 10 years. Maybe the pandemic kept you home. Maybe life kept you busy. Maybe you just lost the travel itch for a while. Whatever the reason, you remember how flying used to work. You remember the drill. Take off your shoes, pull out your laptop, slide your liquids into the bin, walk through the metal detector, grab your shoes on the other side. Easy. You have done this 100 times. Then you walk in and almost nothing matches your memory. The line at the kiosk looks different. Half the signs in front of you reference programs you have never heard of. The ID requirement seems to have changed somehow. People are walking through security in their shoes, which cannot possibly be right. Someone is holding a phone up at the gate instead of a paper boarding pass. The flight you booked has 8 different boarding groups instead of 3. There is a charge on your ticket for something that used to be free. And somewhere along the way, the airline replaced something fundamental about how flights work and never sent you the memo. The truth is, the world of air travel has been quietly transformed since most casual flyers last bought a ticket. The pandemic accelerated changes that have been building for years. New technology, new rules, new fees, new ID requirements, new airline policies. Returning flyers in 2026 are stepping into a system that looks the same on the outside, but operates by different rules underneath. Here are 12 things that have changed about flying since you last did it. Do not get caught. Change 1. The death of the paper boarding pass. The last time you flew, you probably either printed your boarding pass at home or got one from the kiosk at the airport. A piece of paper folded into your wallet, scanned at every checkpoint. That was the standard. In 2026, the paper boarding pass is mostly gone. Almost every airline now defaults to digital boarding passes through their mobile app. You check in online 24 hours before your flight. The boarding pass loads automatically into your phone, and you scan the screen at security and at the gate. Some airlines have started charging fees for paper boarding passes, sometimes $5 to $25 per pass at the airport counter. Spirit and Frontier have been particularly aggressive about it. Other airlines still print them for free if you ask, but the default has shifted entirely to mobile. Returning flyers walk into the airport expecting the kiosk to be the obvious starting point. They look around for the line of machines that used to dominate the check-in area. The kiosks are still there, but they are often half empty or slowly being replaced with bag drop counters. Most travelers around you are already checked in on their phones before they walk through the door. The fix is simple. Download your airline's app before your trip. Set up an account. Check in 24 hours before your flight the moment the airline opens the window. The boarding pass appears in the app and saves to your phone's wallet feature. Take a screenshot of it as a backup in case the app crashes or your data dies. If you really prefer paper, you can still get one. Just go to the check-in counter and ask. Most airlines will print it for you, but know that you might pay for it now, depending on the carrier. In 2026, the boarding pass lives in your phone. The paper version is the backup, not the default. Change 2. The shoes-on revolution at TSA Security. Here is the change that returning flyers genuinely do not believe at first. For nearly 20 years, the most universally hated ritual at American airports was the shoe removal at security. Sneakers, dress shoes, sandals, boots, all of them came off and went into the bin. Bare feet on the airport floor, hopping on one foot trying to get them back on while a line built up behind you. In July 2025, the TSA finally ended the mandatory shoe removal rule. Returning flyers walking through security in 2026 see the change immediately. The signs telling you to remove your shoes are gone. The benches near the bins are empty. People walk through screening fully shod, the way they would walk through any other doorway. Officers can still ask you to remove your shoes for additional screening if something flags, but the default ritual is over. The reason the change took 20 years to happen is the same reason most TSA rules take forever to update. The original shoe rule was a response to a specific incident, the shoe bomber in 2001, and the policy stayed in place long after the security reasoning had been replaced by better technology. CT scanners installed at over 90% of major U.S. airports by 2026 can detect explosives in footwear without requiring removal. The rule was outdated for years before it was finally lifted. Returning flyers walking up to security with the muscle memory of removing shoes still kick in automatically. They start to bend over before catching themselves. The TSA officer just smiles. Apparently this happens a lot. The fix is to enjoy the change. Walk through with your shoes on. Save the time and the awkward hopping. The shoes-on revolution is one of the few unambiguous improvements in modern air travel. Change 3. The carry-on liquid rule that mostly did not change. Returning flyers see news headlines about the 100 milliliter liquid rule getting scrapped and assume their old water bottle and full-size shampoo are finally legal again. They are not. Here is what actually changed. In the United States, the 311 rule still applies almost universally in 2026. Containers must be 3.4 ounces or smaller, all packed in a single quart-sized bag. The rule is identical to what it was a decade ago. The only difference is that at airports with new CT scanners, which is now over 90% of major United States hubs, you can leave your liquids bag inside your carry-on instead of pulling it out. The size limit has not moved. In the European Union and the United Kingdom, the rule has changed at some specific airports. Rome Fiumicino, Milan Linate, Bologna, Dublin, Heathrow, Gatwick, Birmingham, and Edinburgh now allow liquids up to 2 liters per container, thanks to the same CT scanner technology. But the rollout is patchy. Frankfurt, Munich, Madrid, and Berlin have CT scanners on some lanes, but not others. The 2-liter rule applies only when you are walking through a properly equipped checkpoint, and you might not know in advance which lane you will get. Returning flyers reading about these changes assume the rule has globally relaxed. They pack a full-size water bottle, head to the airport, and get it confiscated. Then they are confused because they swear they read the rule changing. The fix is to pack to the strictest standard. Treat 3.4 ounces as the universal limit unless you are 100% certain your specific airport and lane allow more. The patchwork of different rules across different airports and even different terminals at the same airport makes assumptions dangerous. In 2026, the headline says the rule changed. The reality says pack like it did not. Change 4. The appearance of CT scanners and what they actually mean for you. Returning flyers stepping up to security notice immediately that the X-ray machines look different. The familiar flat tunnel where bags slid through has been replaced by larger, taller machines that look more like the CT scanners you would see at a hospital. Because that is exactly what they are. These are computed tomography scanners, the same imaging technology used in medicine adapted for security. They create a 3-dimensional image of your bag's contents that officers can rotate and examine from any angle. The detection capability is significantly better than the old X-rays. The practical change for returning flyers is convenience. At airports with CT scanners, you no longer have to pull your laptop out of your bag for screening. You do not have to remove your liquids bag. You do not have to take off layers or empty pockets the way you used to. The scanner sees through everything well enough that the bag goes through whole, the way you packed it. The catch is that not every checkpoint has them yet. Even at airports where most lanes are CT equipped, you might walk into one of the older X-ray lanes by accident. Look for signs that say you may leave electronics in your bag. Lanes without CT scanners require the old removal routine. Returning flyers who have not flown since the X-ray era often pull out their laptop and liquids before the officer tells them they do not have to. Then they have to repack everything, which actually slows the line down. The instinct is hard to break. The fix is to walk up to the scanner and wait for instructions. If the officer does not tell you to remove anything, leave your bag intact. Trust the technology. The bag goes through faster, the line moves faster, and you do not have to repack at the end. In 2026, security has gotten genuinely faster, but only if you let it work the way it is designed to. Change 5. The explosion of fees on basic economy fares. Returning flyers shopping for their first ticket in years often find amazing deals. A flight from New York to Los Angeles for $99 round trip. Sounds incredible. They click buy, then they discover what's not included. The economy fare structure has fragmented dramatically over the past decade. What used to be one ticket called economy is now usually 3 tiers, with the cheapest one called basic economy, or sometimes saver or light. This bottom tier excludes nearly everything returning flyers assume comes standard. Basic economy on most American carriers in 2026 typically excludes a checked bag, charging $35 to $50 each direction. It often excludes a carry-on bag too, charging $35 to $65 if you bring one. It excludes seat selection, randomly assigning you to whatever middle seat is left over. It excludes free changes or cancellations, locking you into the flight or charging hefty fees to modify it. It boards last, and the overhead bins are usually full by the time you reach them. The $99 ticket is a real number, but it is the price of the seat itself, not the actual cost of the trip. Add a checked bag at $40, a carry-on at $50, a seat assignment at $20, and your $99 fare is suddenly $209. And you board last with no overhead space. The fix is to read the fare details before booking. Almost every airline website now has a comparison chart showing what each tier includes. Regular economy might be $30 or $50 more than basic economy, but it includes the carry-on, the seat selection, and earlier boarding. For most returning flyers, the upgrade is worth it. Or, if you are committed to basic economy, pack incredibly light. Bring a small backpack that fits the personal item dimensions. No checked bag. Nothing that requires the overhead bin. The fare is genuinely cheap if you can travel that minimally. Most returning flyers cannot. In 2026, the cheap ticket is a real ticket, but it is not the same product you bought a decade ago. Read what you are buying. Change 6. The real ID requirement that snuck up on most travelers. This is the change that catches more returning flyers than almost any other in 2026. The United States started enforcing real ID requirements for domestic flights on May 7, 2025. Your driver's license now needs a small star symbol in the upper corner to count as valid ID for flying domestically. If your license does not have the star, you cannot use it as ID at TSA security. As of February 1, 2026, you can pay a $45 confirm ID fee at the checkpoint to verify your identity through an alternative process. But that fee only covers a 10-day window, and the verification can take up to 30 minutes. Round-trip flights spread over more than 10 days mean paying twice. Returning flyers who have not gotten a new license in years often have non-real ID licenses. The licenses are still completely valid for driving and most other purposes. They just do not work at airport security anymore. The Real ID program was actually authorized by Congress in 2005, with implementation delayed multiple times over the next 2 decades. Each delay made returning flyers think the rule was not real. Then the actual enforcement started in 2025 and caught millions of casual travelers off guard. The fix is to look at your driver's license right now. Is there a star, usually gold or black, in the upper corner? If yes, you are compliant and ready to fly. If no, you have 3 options. Visit your DMV before your flight to get a Real ID compliant license. The process takes 1 appointment with documents proving identity, social security, and residence. The cost is usually the same as a regular renewal. If you do not have time for the DMV, bring your United States passport. A valid passport is universally accepted for domestic flights, Real ID or not. Even if you have never used your passport for a domestic trip before, this is the easy workaround. If neither of those is possible, plan to pay the $45 confirm fee and arrive at the airport even earlier than you normally would. The verification process is real and time-consuming. In 2026, the Real ID surprise has caught more returning flyers than any other change on this list. Do not be one of them. If breakdowns of travel rules and changes like this help you stay current, hit subscribe. We do this every week. The stuff casual flyers and returning travelers genuinely need to know. Change 7. The boarding pass scanner replacing the gate agent. Returning flyers remember a specific moment at the gate. You walk up. A gate agent stands behind a counter. She takes your boarding pass, looks at it, smiles, scans it, hands it back, and welcomes you onto the plane. Personal, brief, but human. In 2026, that interaction has largely been replaced by self-service scanners. Most major airlines now use automated boarding pass readers at the gate. You walk up to a small kiosk-style scanner, hold your phone or boarding pass over the reader, and a green light flashes if you are cleared to board. A red light means there is an issue, and you need to see an agent. The whole process takes about 3 seconds, and there is often no agent involved at all unless something goes wrong. The change is part of a broader push toward automation. Airlines have been cutting gate agent staffing for years. Self-service kiosks have replaced check-in counters at many airports. Self-tagging luggage stations let you handle your own bag drop. Automated scanners handle the gate. The human staff is increasingly there only for exception cases and elite-tier customers. Returning flyers walk up to the gate looking for the friendly agent and do not see one. They wonder if they are at the wrong gate. They are not. The system has just changed under them. The fix is to walk up to the scanner with your boarding pass ready, either on your phone or in paper form. Hold it over the reader, watch for the green light, and walk onto the plane. If something goes wrong, like the scanner cannot read your pass or your seat assignment is missing, an agent will handle it. But for the vast majority of passengers, the gate experience is now silent and self-directed. The bonus is speed. Boarding moves much faster with scanners than it ever did with manual check-in. The downside is the loss of the small human moment that used to mark the start of the flight. In 2026, the gate has gotten more efficient and less personal. That is the trade-off. Change 8. Seat selection is now usually a paid feature. Once upon a time, you booked a flight. The airline assigned you a seat, and you sat there. If you wanted a specific seat, you could often pick one for free during check-in or by calling the airline. Now, seat selection is a profit center. Most major American airlines in 2026 charge for seat selection on basic economy fare. Even on regular economy, premium seats with extra legroom or window views often cost $15 to $50 each way to reserve. The free option is to let the system assign you a seat, which usually means a middle seat in the back of the plane. Returning flyers booking their first flight in years often skip the seat selection screen, assuming they will get assigned something reasonable. They get to the airport and discover they are in row 38, middle seat between two strangers for a 5-hour flight. The seats they wanted, the window in row 12, the aisle in row 18, all required payment they did not make. The fix is to actually engage with the seat selection screen during booking. Yes, it costs money, but for a long flight, $20 for a window seat or an aisle seat with extra legroom is often worth it. The free random assignment is a real risk, especially for tall people, anxious flyers, or anyone who needs to use the bathroom often. If you are flying with family and want to sit together, this is even more important. The free assignment does not guarantee anything about who sits where. Couples and families can end up split across the plane, sometimes rows apart. Paying for assigned seats is the only way to lock in your group. Some airlines and credit cards offer free seat selection as a perk. Frequent flyer status often unlocks it. But for casual returning flyers without those benefits, the choice is to pay for the seat you want or accept what you are given. In 2026, where you sit is now part of what you buy, not part of what you booked. Change 9. The in-flight Wi-Fi situation has mostly gotten worse before getting better. Returning flyers might remember a brief golden era when Wi-Fi was either free or cheap on most flights. Some airlines like JetBlue made it a free service. Others charged a flat $10 or $15 for the entire flight. The Wi-Fi worked. You could check email, browse the web, even stream some video at lower quality. The current state is more complicated. Some airlines have actually gotten better. Delta now offers free Wi-Fi for SkyMiles members on most domestic flights. JetBlue still has free Wi-Fi for everyone. United and American have invested heavily in faster Wi-Fi infrastructure, but they charge for access on most flights, ranging from $8 to $30 depending on the route and the speed tier. Other airlines have gotten worse. Some budget carriers do not offer Wi-Fi at all. Others offer it but at speeds so slow that streaming or even web browsing is painful. The Wi-Fi exists technically, but using it is frustrating. A bigger change is what Wi-Fi can do now. Some airlines offer free messaging, which lets you use iMessage, WhatsApp, and basic chat features without paying for full internet access. This is genuinely useful for staying in touch during a flight, but trying to load actual websites or stream video usually still requires paying. The fix for returning flyers is to manage expectations. Do not assume Wi-Fi will be free or fast. Check the airline's specific Wi-Fi situation when you book. Download entertainment to your phone or tablet before the flight, so you do not depend on the in-flight system at all. Bring a book as the ultimate backup. In 2026, Wi-Fi at 30,000 feet is real, but the quality is variable and the price is rarely zero. Change 10. The post-pandemic mask culture that no longer applies. Many returning flyers who have not been on a plane since 2020 or 2021 pack masks instinctively, expecting them to be required. Some worry about being judged for not wearing one. Some worry about being judged for wearing one. The social pressure has largely faded. In 2026, the federal mask mandate on airplanes ended in 2022, and it has not been reinstated. Masks are no longer required on U.S. domestic flights, on most international flights, or in airport terminals. A small percentage of travelers still wear them by personal choice, but the social pressure in either direction has largely faded. Some airlines still allow individual flight attendants to ask passengers to wear masks if there is a specific health concern, for example, during periods of high illness in a region. The blanket requirement is over. This change matters because mask habits formed during the pandemic can still feel heavy. Walking into the airport without a mask can feel transgressive. Wearing one can feel performative. Both responses are now completely normal. The fix is simple. Wear or do not wear a mask based on what makes you comfortable. There is no rule, and there is no expectation. Some travelers wear masks specifically to avoid getting sick on long flights, which is a legitimate concern given how recycled cabin air works. Others find masks uncomfortable and skip them. Both choices are fine. In 2026, the mask question is a personal choice, the way it was before 2020. The cultural pressure has dropped away. Change 11. The disappearance of free meals on all but the longest flights. Returning flyers might remember a time when domestic flights came with hot meals, real food served on actual trays with utensils. By the early 2010s, this had already shifted to free snacks and small bags of pretzels. By the late 2010s, snacks became for purchase on many carriers, with only basic drinks remaining free. In 2026, free food on domestic flights is mostly extinct. Most major American airlines now offer paid food and beverage service on flights over a certain length, with a limited free snack and a drink as the only complimentary offering. Premium cabin passengers, like first class and business class, still get meals included. Coach passengers either pay or bring their own food. The exceptions are international long-haul flights where free meals are still standard. A flight from Los Angeles to Tokyo or New York to London still includes hot food, multiple drink services, and snacks. Domestic flights of equivalent length, like New York to Hawaii, often have paid food only. The fix for returning flyers is to either pre-purchase food when you book, which some airlines now offer, or to bring your own food through security. Solid food passes through TSA without issue. Sandwiches, snacks, fruit, energy bars, even full meals in containers all work. The only restriction is liquids, gels, and yogurt-style foods that fall under the 3.4-ounce rule. The savings can be significant. A meal box on board is often $10 to $15 for something basic. The same food packed from home costs a few dollars and is usually better quality. In 2026, the Friendly Skies feed you only if you pay or pack. Change 12. The boarding group multiplication that confuses everyone. The last thing returning flyers notice, often at the gate, is that boarding has become absurdly stratified. The simple first class then everyone else routine of the old days is gone. The three groups that airlines used in the late 2000s are gone too. Now there are 6, sometimes 9. Major American airlines in 2026 board planes in elaborate hierarchical sequences that reflect the airline's revenue priorities. First class, then top-tier elites, then mid-tier elites, then military and families with small children, then premium economy passengers, then regular economy by zone, sometimes split into multiple subzones based on what specific economy fare you bought, then basic economy, which boards dead last. A typical Delta or American boarding announcement now says we are now welcoming our Sky Miles Diamond Medallion members and active military for boarding, followed by Platinum, then Gold, then various specific fare classes, all before general boarding even starts. The whole process can take 30 to 40 minutes for a single flight. Returning flyers who remember being able to walk up at any point and board are caught off guard by the rigid structure. They look at their boarding pass, see Group 6 or Boarding Zone 8, and have no idea when they are supposed to get up. They worry about missing their flight. They stand up too early and have to wait awkwardly. They wait too long and have to rush. The fix is to find your boarding group on your boarding pass and wait until your specific group is called. Sit down. Don't queue up early. The plane isn't leaving without you. The boarding order is calculated to fill the plane efficiently, and standing in line earlier than your group adds nothing. If you are in a low boarding group like Basic Economy or Group 8, the bins above your seat will probably be full when you reach them. Pack a smaller bag that fits under the seat in front of you. That is the fix for the boarding inequality. Or pay for a higher tier ticket, which is exactly what the airlines want you to do. In 2026, boarding has become a status hierarchy. The system is designed to remind everyone exactly how much they paid. Returning flyers just have to accept the new order. So now you know 12 things that have changed about flying since you last did it. The death of the paper boarding pass, the shoes on revolution, the patchy liquid rule shift, the CT scanner upgrade, the fee explosion in basic economy, the real ID requirement, the automated gate scanners, the paid seat selection, the Wi-Fi mess, the end of the mask era, the disappearance of free meals, and the boarding group hierarchy. Each change on its own seems small. Together, they add up to a flying experience that feels recognizable but operates by different rules than the one you remember. The instincts you built up over years of casual flying don't all map onto the 2026 system. Some of them work fine. Others lead you straight into mistakes that cost you money, time, or comfort. Before your first flight back, take 20 minutes to update your mental map. Download the airline app and check in online. Check your driver's license for the Real ID star. Read the fare details before clicking buy. Pack your liquids to the strict standard. Bring your own food. Engage with the seat selection screen. Know your boarding group. Charge your phone fully. Walk through security with your shoes on. Do all of that, and the airport you walk into in 2026 will feel like a system you understand again. Just one that's quietly modernized while you weren't watching.